Right, good morning everybody. Good morning. Just before I start, I'd just like to pose a question for you, which I'd like you to hold in your minds during this presentation. So the question is, do you play the lottery? Right, this is what I want to cover this morning. I just want to cover a tiny bit about the company, a little bit about gas safety, show you a short video on what our customers say, and then finally, if you have any questions, open forum, ask your questions. So the company consists of three of us, it's only small. There's Sam, he's a level 2 trained plumbing apprentice. Joe, he's a plumbing and heating engineer, he's trained to level 3, he's got about 2.5 years experience now. And there's myself, I'm a plumber, heating and electronics engineer. I've also got a great, really great Nexus sales and marketing team. It was established in 2005, been operating now, this is our 10th year. We deal with plumbing, heating, hot water systems, we deal with boiler servicing and installation, gas safety checks, and we deal with all of those issues around paving and surrounding areas. The business is underpinned by a promise. We started this promise right at the very beginning. We think it makes us a little bit different to other plumbing companies. The promise is that we'll turn up when we say we will. We'll only undertake work that's necessary, so we won't do what I call poke and hope when it comes to repairs. We'll only complete work in accordance with all the regulations, so that's safety regulations, electrical regulations, gas and plumbing regulations. Clear up each day before we leave, and all of our work is guaranteed. We hold a number of approvals, a couple of them industry approvals like Gas Safe and NIC. We're also approved by trading standards, which local and age concerned. We've got trained by Valiant, and they now approve us to install their boilers. You may be sitting there thinking, well, so what? We think this means that we're trained, we're experienced, we trade fairly, we've got fair terms and conditions of contract, we've got liability insurance in place, we've got high levels of customer service, we're independently monitored, so Gas Safe, NIC monitor us yearly, trading standards monitor us once every year as well. We can also give an additional 2 years guarantee on Valiant boilers. So your standard plumber or gas engineer will only give you 5 years, we can give you a 7-year guarantee. And that's a manufacturer-backed guarantee. And I'd like to come on to a little bit about safety. Carbon monoxide. You've probably all heard of it. It's a killer. There's no taste, no smell. You won't know it's coming. 4,000 people last year went to hospital with the symptoms of carbon monoxide. 200 people were hospitalised, and 50 people died. It's roughly one for every week of the year, probably about the same number as play the lottery or win the lottery. The symptoms of carbon monoxide are headaches, sickness, you might feel sleepy, lightheaded, and then finally unconscious, and last symptom of course is death. So I'll repeat that question, I'll modify it slightly, which is, do you play the carbon monoxide lottery? What can you do to reduce the risks? Well, you can look for the obvious. You can look for the cover of your boiler having holes in it, black marks around any boiler, fires, gas cookers, flames not burning properly. So if your cooker is burning with a lazy yellow flame, get somebody in to check it out. You can also, of course, have your boiler serviced or have a gas safety check, and I would recommend that you have them every year. If you're sitting there thinking, I haven't had it done for 3 to 4 years, you really need to do something about it. Get it checked. If there's a problem, you can call Transco. Transco are the operating system of the network, the gas network. They offer a free service. They have to come out to you. If you suspect carbon monoxide, if your CO2 alarm goes off, or if you smell gas, just call them out. They'll come out free of charge. They come out within 2 to 4 hours, and they'll come and help you and make sure you're safe. Right, some of the benefits of servicing, it's not just safety. We make sure that the appliance is burning correctly, using the correct amount of gas. We make sure that the flame pattern's okay. We make sure that the safety devices are working on the equipment. So when the flame goes out, we make sure that the flame supervision devices are working. We make sure the expansion vessel's working. We make sure that the pressure relief valves are working. So we make sure that boiler's safe and efficient. And I'd like to show you just a couple of pictures of things we found recently on some of our boilers. So this particular picture is a flue from a boiler. The boiler was located in a bedroom, and as you can see here, there's no cement or plaster stopping the fumes coming back into the house. That gap was also on the outside. So if you've got the fumes going out, if the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, you'd find those fumes blowing back into the room. This boiler, incidentally, was located in a bedroom. Another one, this was in a bedroom as well. There's a little flue cap there. That flue cap is for us to test the contents of the flue gases. The cap was missing. These boilers have a pump on them, or a fan, and they blow the fumes out of the flue. Those fumes were being blown back into the bedroom, and that was like that for a year. This one, you may say it's a little bit more obvious, a bit rusty.
A bit of filler in there.
You say it's obvious, but it wasn't obvious to the people that were using this boiler. Their CO2 alarm went off, they called us in, and we said that this boiler was beyond economical repair. So we closed it down, and within a couple of days we replaced it with a nice new shiny one. So it wasn't obvious to those people. This one, not so obvious, there's a little kink in the pipe. It'll be all right for a couple of years, but over a period of 15, 20 years, with the heat warming that pipe up, cooling it down, it expands, contracts, expands, contracts. That weak area is brittle where it's bent, and that's likely to crack over those years. So these sort of things shouldn't be on your system. Okay, so how do you refer us? If you have any referrals, you can email me, telephone, text. We deal with plumbing, heating and electrical services in the Havering area. We're trained, experienced, approved and customer focused. I've now got a short video which I'd like to play you. The sound isn't great because it's coming out on my computer, but please bear with us.
Jean Gambardella, and I've recently had a boiler put in by Richard, and I'm very well pleased with it. It's marvellous, I love it.
I've known Richard from Divine Waters now for over 8 years. Came to me when he first started up, and I wouldn't use anybody else. He's done a lot of work in my house. Most recently, I needed a new radiator in my lounge, which he's put in, then balanced all my other radiators to make sure that the heat is equal throughout the house. I recommend him to friends without any hesitation and total confidence. He's economical, he's reliable, and when he says he's going to turn up, he always does. Totally trust him, wouldn't use anybody else.
Morning, my name's James Cook. We had a reason to call Divine Water, who we were introduced through a handyman that we use from time to time, because our carbon monoxide alarm set off, and we were very worried, obviously, with a young boy. So we called in Richard from Divine Water, had them come round and inspect, and our boiler was condemned, covered in rust in a real old state. So Richard quite rightly condemned it, came in and gave us a quote for putting it right, and we got, in the end, with our approval, a new boiler, radiator valves were fitted, and what we found since then is that we've been toasty warm throughout the winter. And we did have a little moment where we had a hiccup, and to his great strength and customer service, Richard came back very helpfully, put it all right for free, got the gas safety certificate signed off, so we are very happy customers and delighted with Divine Water.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Richard, in the video, the lady mentioned about balancing the system.
Right. Balancing the system. So radiator systems, you have a boiler in one place, and you have a number of radiators strung across what is the flow pipe and the return pipe. So from the boiler, you've got hot water going out, and you've got cooler water going back. And all your radiators are strung across those two pipes. The first radiator, if it's turned fully on, will get most of that water, and a poor little radiator in gets no heat at all. So balancing the system just makes sure that the heat is distributed evenly throughout all the radiators. So it's a common problem when you've had decorators in, when you've taken radiators off, when you've had buildings and extension works done. Some of the radiators, when they're put back on again, the builder or the decorator turns the radiator full up and it sends the system out of balance. So it's just about distribution of heat.
What happens when you find a safety issue?
When we find a safety issue, we're obliged, under the rules that we work under, to give you a warning notice. So we obviously talk to you about that particular issue, what can be done about it and what the effects are, but we're obliged to write out a warning notice, and it tells you what the problem is, and then it tells you what we have to do about it. So there's different categories. We have to risk assess it first, so we risk assess to see whether it's just not to current standards, whether it's at risk, or whether it's immediately dangerous.
Does that go to a governing body, or is that just issued to the person?
No, it's just issued to the person. If it's a landlord type property, it's issued to the landlord as well. So Chris?
When or if your carbon monoxide alarm goes off, what should you do? Should you open all your doors and windows?
Exactly that, yeah. So you should really, first of all, open the windows to make sure you vent the place, and then you should call somebody to get it checked out. Turn off the appliance, of course, as well.
This little carbon, where do you get this carbon monoxide? Because everyone's probably got a smoke alarm, everyone's familiar with smoke alarm, but to be quite honest, I didn't know much about these carbon monoxide gadgets.
Here's one I have prepared. Carbon monoxide alarm. You can buy them from B&Q, you can buy them from any hardware store. This one's got a 7-year battery life, so it lasts quite a long time. You can get them with a 10-year battery life. It gives you clear instructions on where to install it, and it could be a lifesaver. But like brakes and a seatbelt, this is really your seatbelt. It's not your brakes. You should have your appliance serviced, okay? Make sure your brakes work. Okay.
Well, I
Brilliant.